Annenberg TV News is next.
USC students filled up Hahn Plaza for a chance to debate political commentator Charlie Kirk. Hi, I'm Ari Rose Marquez.
And I'm Marina Napick. Annenberg Media's Lindsay Augustine is here with the story. Lindsay?
Conservative activist Charlie Kirk, known for his social media videos taking college students to school, brought an open mic today to USC.
Why don't you believe that white privilege exists? I just want to get your understanding first, and then we can go from there.
That was Destiny Williams, a student at USC who stepped up to the mic to debate Charlie Kirk. The purpose of this tour, according to his website, is to celebrate the free exchange of ideas.
He mentioned that he doesn't believe white privilege exists, and I kind of just looked at my friend and we looked at each other and I was like, where's the line? I didn't feel like there was free speech because it felt like he was very controlling of the conversation. Obviously, he dictated a lot of when the topic would switch, when the conversation would end altogether. Like, this is the most polarization on campus that I've ever seen.
First time here at USC, and it's great to be here, guys.
As you can hear, Kirk's event stirred up intense reactions, with boos and with cheers, and even an arrest. DPS Assistant Chief David Carlisle told Annenberg Media that a former student tried to disrupt the event by playing loud music. Carlisle says she was asked to leave because USC requires a permit to play amplified sound. According to DPS, she then assaulted an officer, leading to her arrest.
He came to, I guess, like protest with the speaker and was just playing music super loudly, I think just to disrupt the event. What surprised me was like the kids around me, what they were saying about her when she was protesting. They were just saying awful stuff, being super disrespectful, and you know, like you hope going to school that's like supposedly liberal, you wouldn't hear stuff like that.
Kirk is the founder of the nonprofit Turning Point USA, which aims to support conservatives on college campuses. Turning Point backed the so-called American Comeback Tour, which led Kirk to the University of Florida, Florida State, and now SC.
I think that this is a really great opportunity. You know, even if you disagree, even if you're a left-wing liberal, you can come ask a question.
These conversations in general are important. I don't think he is trying to make you guys look stupid because, I mean, maybe sometimes it happens, but a lot of these videos are uncut and you can bring notes. You come bring your professors, come bring your family, come bring your friends.
Kirk has debated in other formats as well, including on the YouTube channel Jubilee. Several members came to USC for a rematch.
He'll often use really negative ways to describe the kids who participate in these debates, and by demonizing the people you're debating, you're not fostering critical thought.
I think he's really good at dodging and weaving to make the conversation look very advantageous for him. He's also really good at hammering down on things that he feels like students or other speakers are very weak on. He has like a good allure of so many people being here that he just wants to include participation from everybody, which I think means that he wants to cut a lot of conversations short when they're not going in his favor.
Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, you were at the event. You got to witness everything in that environment. So can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I saw a lot of polarization on campus today. We had a lot of conservative students talking to us, really appreciating the space that they had to explore their views, but then we had a lot of other students who were concerned about the fact that USC allowed him on campus.
And I think both Marina and I had the opportunity to see the crowd of students there. It was pretty massive. Was there any substantial disruption to campus activities, for example?
A lot of students were able to come and go as they needed to. I heard some students were avoiding the area of personal choice, but for the most part, campus activities resumed as normal.
Thank you so much.
Three-time Olympic gold medalist Brittany Griner is here on campus for the USC Charlotta Bass Trailblazer Series. Hi, I'm Kayla Quintero.
And I'm Lawrence Sung. Annenberg Media's Sammy Yen is live at the Bing Theater. Sammy, what's going on?
Doors just opened at Bing Theater where people are starting to line up to hear Brittany Griner speak at 6 p.m. The basketball icon is being honored tonight by the Bass Lab for her many accomplishments. Griner is a three-time Olympic gold medalist and champion in the WNBA. Off the court, she has advocated for mental health and LGBTQ+ rights. She also began advocating for those who are wrongfully detained after her nearly 300-day incarceration in Russia. Professor Alyssa Richardson shared why Griner was selected for this year's Trailblazer Speaker Series.
I always kind of look and see who's being innovative in that space and did it work? Did it really rally people to a certain cause? Or did it at least make us have an uncomfortable national conversation about something? We're honoring Brittany Griner for her extraordinary bravery in being detained abroad. And then using social media and traditional media as a means to bring her home.
I'm here with Autumn, who was one of the first in line for this event. Autumn, what brought you out here tonight?
Hi. What brought me out here tonight is not only am I a big basketball fan, but also I'm interested in prison reform, cannabis laws, and things surrounding Griner's case. I found it to be particularly interesting because of, her mentions of how she was treated in prison in Russia, and then also how this further highlights the pay disparities that WNBA players face while they're in their profession. And I think it's really unfortunate that, in the first place of why she had to be in Russia is to make more money because the WNBA wasn't paying her enough. And I think that her story highlights a lot of different things that was brought to a broader audience's attention because of her detainment in Russia. And so I'm really excited to see her speak about that.
Perfect. Well, there are still seats available if you want to head over to Bing Theater before it begins. For Annenberg Media, I'm Sammy Yen. Back to you in the studio.
First responders and their families gathered at Dodger Stadium for an afternoon of activities, games, food, and music. It was a day of gratitude designed to honor the thousands of heroic first responders who fought the Southern California wildfires.
The amount of gratitude and just how grateful people are for all their efforts, that is just so meaning to a lot of us,
We decided we needed to have a day, not just to honor the first responders, but to say thank you to them and their families, for them to have a little bit of a reprieve from the stress and pressure and trauma.
The First Responders Children's Foundation sponsored the event. They provided essential supplies for first responder families affected by the wildfires.
Music has the power to inspire, to heal, and to hold memories. But what happens when instruments are lost in a fire? Annenberg Media reporter Brianna Ryu shares the story of a Thornton music professor who lost her home and precious pianos in last month's fires.
Antoinette Perry plays this piece when she's saying goodbye. It's called The Last Musical Moment. The professor of piano at the USC Thornton School of Music lost everything in the Eaton fire.
The winds were very strong, so, the handwriting was on the wall. We packed up.
Even as the flames neared, she still tried to save the heart of her life's work, her pianos.
But I thought, maybe I'll call the piano movers and see if they can get there, move the pianos, and they dropped everything.
The thing when we got there, the roof, it was already catching flames, and the entrance door, it was pretty close by, so we didn't want to risk
their lives. Teal's piano van has been moving pianos for more than 30 years, but this was a first.
We were happy to save a piano when we can, but this time it was a little late.
The house had started on fire before they got there, and they said, well, we'll go in and we'll, at least save a piano. And it was just too scary to me. The fire was too close to the room, and so I wouldn't let them go
in. And so she had to say goodbye to both of her beloved Steinway grand pianos. But this music professor says she's overwhelmed by the support from her friends, family, and the USC community where she's been teaching piano almost as long as Teal's piano van has been moving them. For Annenberg Media, this is Brianna Rue.
President Trump is ending temporary protected status for Haitians. More than 500,000 immigrants could be deported. TPS allows immigrants to live and work here legally. This status is usually given to people from countries facing turmoil. Many Haitians have been covered by TPS since a 2010 earthquake killed more than 300,000 people. Under the Biden administration, any Haitians who arrived here before November 2022 were covered by TPS. The protection was to last until 2026 when a new president would review the TPS status. But President Trump changed the date to August 3rd of this year.
So we clearly understand that those narratives, those attacks, specifically on the Haitian community and other communities of color, is rooted in anti-Black racism and white supremacist ideology. So we are fighting back against those through lawsuits to make sure that we are able to continue to find ways to protect impacted community members.
Anyone deported back to Haiti will join the already 5.4 million people suffering in a hunger crisis. That is about half the population. The country is also plagued by gang violence. According to the United Nations, more than 4,500 people were killed last year. And lawmakers have been debating budget cuts that could impact Medicaid all day. Political anchor Benjamin Gamson is here with a closer look.
Moments ago, the House of Representatives approved a budget resolution that could cut $880 billion from health and energy programs. Many lawmakers fear that the cuts will be targeted at Medicaid.
Medicaid is hugely problematic because it has a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. Everybody knows that. Everybody is committed to preserving Medicare benefits for those who desperately need it and deserve it and qualify for it. We want to make sure that illegal aliens who do not qualify are not on the rolls, and we know that they are in many places.
Medicaid provides coverage to low-income individuals of all ages. Over 1 in 5 people in the United States has Medicaid. The resolution lays the groundwork to pass a single reconciliation package that would include tax cuts, border security, and defense funding.
Over and over again, our Congress has, set up these systems of payment. We as healthcare systems, orchestrate that care. And if there was so much fraud, why have we never heard about it? And where is the proof of this fraud? It's all very convenient.
The vote on the resolution just wrapped up. The resolution passed 217 to 215, with 1 Republican voting no.
Children's Hospital Los Angeles has lifted its pause on providing care to transgender patients. The decision follows a legal challenge to President Trump's executive order to ban all gender-affirming care. President Trump's executive order says, quote, agencies shall rescind or amend all policies that rely on the World Professional Association for transgender health guidance. In 90 days from the executive order, the Secretary of Health plans to publish a review on what they say are best gender care practices. CHLA is home to the Center for Trans Youth Health and Development, also the largest clinic in the country treating trans patients under the age of 19. An official statement from Children's reads, CHLA is lifting its pause on the initiation of new hormonal therapies for patients seeking gender-affirming care, effective immediately. CHLA had briefly paused beginning these therapies to allow time to assess the potential impact of recent federal policy changes. California Attorney General Rob Bonta joined more than a dozen attorneys general in supporting the legal challenge to Trump's executive order.
Coming up, California introduces a new way for communities to give feedback to government leaders.
USC FemFest prepares for its annual celebration, more on how they uplift women and non-binary Trojans.
And no more lost pets. The LA City Council has a plan to reduce overcrowding in animal shelters, so don't click away. Lots more coming up on ATVN.
For the entire semester, we've been following our reporter Jack Waterman as he's hit the road all around the USC area. Now he's made it to the newsroom to go behind the scenes of the Annenberg Media Center. Jack, welcome back.
Thanks, Marina. It's good to be back
here home where all the real action is happening behind the scenes in front of the camera. For the last episode, I just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone who makes this segment and show possible and show y'all a little bit around our media center here. So we'll hit the road this way and check it out a little bit. So we've got the main halo here in the middle. This is where a lot of our digital and print material comes out of. We'll head this way a little bit where actually our radio show, Annenberg Radio News, just finished up. And we've got one of the producers, Anthony, here. Anthony, with live with Annenberg TV News. How'd the show go today?
As good as it always does. Perfect.
Any good stories? What was like the top headline for y'all today?
Well, today we covered the first ever Los Angeles sperm race held downtown. USC won in a head-to-head battle with UCLA.
Amazing. It's all anyone can talk about. Well, congrats on the show. We're going to go finish ours up. See you later. All right. So we got the radio studios back there. And then back in this corner here is where the real magic happens. Now, before we head inside there, I just want to give a quick shout out to my man Kamyar behind the camera. He's been riding with me on Hit the Road all semester, so appreciate you, man. And back behind me here, we got the control room. They're the ones that make all the magic happen, and I'll head inside the studio here. All right, and now we're walking here into Studio C where all the real live stuff happens here. We've got the screen back behind me, green screen couch, and the desk here where, hello, Marina and Ari, how's it going? Oh my goodness.
Good to see you.
This chair feels nice.
Nice to see you in the studio and not in a bar.
Wow, I know, right? That's happened a few too many times. Well, thank y'all for having me here.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about your semester. What were some of your favorite moments?
Am I being interviewed now? I don't have to do the interview anymore?
Yeah.
Amazing. You know, it was just really fun to get to talk to people, whether they were expecting it or not in many cases. I feel like I got the most unfiltered answers, those real answers, which are sometimes difficult to come by. So it was fun, like we talked about. I spent some time in a couple bars around campus, outside of people's classrooms, and it was just great. You know, every week there seemed to be something new going on, and people always had a lot to say.
Is it nerve-wracking talking to strangers every week?
You know, it's an adrenaline rush for sure. The nerves go away pretty quickly, and at the end of the day, people are super nice and friendly, and it's just awesome to get to talk to them. And the whole joy of going up to random people is that you don't know what you're going to get, right? And, you know, I didn't know what I was going to get, and I got so many great voices, perspectives, ages, every single kind of person. So it was just super fun, and I learned a lot about USC and about USC bars as well. So that's a different conversation.
So did we. We appreciate you being out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your segment was always entertaining, but we're happy to have you back in the studio.
I know. It's good to be back one more time.